Thank you, Dr. Blackwell. Let me say Potep Abaragani in a nod to my contemporary Africana studies colleagues, contemporaries, students, academics and academics. And let me say good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, but certainly never good night and never ever goodbye, because I find goodbyes traumatizing. I said I find goodbyes traumatizing. My name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles. And we're worshiping at 8916 South Main Street. I always have to say that because when I look on Google, I still see the old location. But we're taking from me. We're alive and well at 8916 South Main Street here in the city of Los Angeles. All right. Put it in your GPS. Put in 8916 South Main, Los Angeles, and the GPS will bring you to our location. I always counsel against trying to look at the numbers or read addresses while you're driving, because sometimes addresses are kind of moving or small or in the wrong place, and you can't keep your eyes off the road that long. You got to be careful out there, all right, especially this time of year when we're getting near Christmas. The police are about, and they may see you swerving to view an address and can take you the wrong way. All right, as I said, we're the New Life Institutional Baptist Church, and we are now located at 8916 South Main Street. I can't stress that enough. 8916 South Main Street in the city of Los Angeles. And we have services tonight, Friday night, beginning at 7 p.m. And Sundays we begin Sunday school at 10 a.m. And morning worship generally begins around 11:15 a.m. All right? And we welcome you to come and worship with us. We're being hosted by the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church, which is pastored by my good friend, the Reverend Dr. Della F. Holliness, and I wish Pastor Holliness a speedy recovery, and I ask y'all's prayers for her. She's had a asthma attack, but we are praying God will drain all of that asthma out of her body and cause her to return to good and normal health. All right? Keep her in your prayers, won't you? This offering that you are viewing is entitled It's Time, and it's a presentation that tends to go toward the social justice dimension of our sojourn here on the earth. And because we don't live in a bubble, and you can't exist in a vacuum. That's what they try to do when they put you in the jail or the prison. They put you in a vacuum, freeze time, and you don't hear nothing, you don't see nothing but the same thing every hour, every second. And so that is, but even then, in that environment, you cannot exist, as you say, out of society. You've got to adjust to that society, even in the prison. And of course, before I start rambling, we believe in the environmental and the economic aspects of that social justice. And there we go. Because our environment, as we know, our geographical environment and our sociological environment is responsible for how we grow, what we do, how we adapt to our environment. And you can get as technical as you want to about the environment from a sociological standpoint, but your environment impacts upon you, and whether it's the climate, which we have corrupted, or whether it's the atmosphere, If you live in a polluted area, then you're more susceptible to health challenges. If you live in in an area where there's a lot of factory smoke and the like, and factory smells and the like, then that likewise impacts how you feel, your health. So you can't separate your health. You can't separate your health from your environment. Reason why we are having the controversy over climate change is that for generations in this country, we have just thrown our pollution willy-nilly out upon the landscape, and the rivers are polluted, and the ponds and the creeks and the brooks and the streams are polluted, and we are suffering for that, but not only for that, but for the pollution of the ozone layer, which is way up above my head and my pay grade, but yet down here I'm affected by it. As poor as I am, I'm responsible for the ozone depletion because of all of those aerosol sprays and cans and airplane exhaust and rocket exhaust and the like, diesel exhaust, gas fumes, and so we as a whole, speaking of us as mankind as a whole, have really messed things up. And the low-lying areas of the world are already feeling the impact of climate change. And the waters are rising because the glaciers, the icebergs are melting, and surfaces of the earth that haven't been seen for probably thousands of years because they were under the icebergs or the water is all of a sudden becoming exposed, and that's not good. So we have a huge debt to pay to the coming generations for our inability to conserve, or our inability to desire to treat the earth as if it were a living thing, because really that's what the earth is a living, breathing thing, and we have just about destroyed the earth and the world, and not just with our wars. Our wars are just the tip of the iceberg, and so these type of things we are having to confront. And of course they're having the climate change G20, G7, G20 summits where they talk about the climate change, and every nation that has contributed overwhelmingly to the way that things are has only made a pledge to do better. And that is the rub, that they've already corrupted the earth, and now they make a pledge to do better. And I don't see how that's going to work, given the way that we have savagely done our Mother Earth again. All right. And then, of course, in economic piece, because this is the capitalistic system, a capitalistic society, and you can't sleep at night with you ain't got no money. Hello, somebody. And therefore, we are all engaged, as Dr. King said, one garment of destiny, and we may as well recognize and realize and act as though we were one, because we're going to suffer as one if we don't collectively solve the economic problems and the environmental disasters that we have created. The United States of America has always been a #1 polluter on the face of the earth, and we have for for a long time, we were simply putting off this day by having barges go out into the vast oceans and dump the waste. But now they got waste islands in the middle of the oceans. Can you imagine that? Where just all that plastic that we have manufactured and discarded is in heaps out in the middle of the oceans. And I've seen pictures, I'm sure you've seen pictures of these islands of plastic. Islands of plastic. And the islands are huge. And it's all plastic, man-made, manufactured plastics. And so we are going to have to rethink every way in which we have made our living. And since the poorer nations are the nations that are regarded by the rich nations as third world, although those are not third world countries. The third world country is us. We must atone as a people, as a nation, as a country. That's what I mean by we. And we must also shoulder the major part of the burden for the cleanup, because we are the major polluters, which I had a witness. All right. And the economic issue is still with us, because the rising poverty, the rising homelessness, you'd be surprised, a lot of the homeless are actually working, but they can't afford the rent, or they can't afford to put together the deposit and the first and the last that would allow them to get into even a reasonable place of living. So all of that is on our plates, and I don't know about you, but I feel that the government should pay reparations to the descendants of the slaves, and they should pay reparations for that 246 years of slavery, followed by the 100+ years of Jim Crow, segregation, and lynching that was only recently ended as it relates to time. And since the labor was given freely, or forced labor as it were, not freely given but forced from us, because my people didn't ask to be brought to the 13 colonies who were at war with Britain and England and the colonial powers, but they insisted on ensnaring, kidnapping the Africans and forcing us onto the labyrinthine and dark depths of ships, and brought us across the ocean over here to the Caribbean islands and to the West Indies, and finally to the mainland of what now is, of course, the United States, after all of the machinations and all of the political developments and warlike developments. I have to thank Dr. Gerald Horn for opening my eyes, and I'm sure he's opened up a lot of people's eyes with his dawning of the apocalypse and his book on the counter-revolution of 1776, in which he theorized that it was not freedom that 1776 brought to, but it was the slavery, because the founding fathers were mostly slaveholders, and what they wanted was the carte blanche to buy slaves, trade in slaves, and enslave African people at their whim. And so I appreciate Dr. Gerald Horn for positing that, what he says, that counter counter reasoning there makes more sense than the whitewashed Eurocentric 1776 view, because as Dr. Horn said, they wanted freedom for themselves, but they wanted slavery for everybody else, because even the indigenous First Nations people that were here was savagely wronged, and their land was taken, and how many families were totally annihilated in the Europeans' thirsty lust for the land, you know. We talk about the goal, but the real goal was the people that were captured on the African coast and spirited away from there and brought over here to work the sugarcane fields and the tobacco fields and the cotton fields and the rubber plantations and all of that that has made America the wealthiest country, one of the wealthiest countries on the face of the globe, according to even Joe Biden. And so there needs to be a reckoning, and there needs to be an atoning, and there needs to be a making whole of the African descendants who have borne the heat of the day, the burden and the heat of the day, and given unrequited toil, as the 16th President of the United States so eloquently described. His name was Abraham Lincoln. But we need that reparation to make us whole, because the economic or the wealth disparity in this nation is not going to be resolved. I can't earn enough money per hour when I'm trying to sneak up on $30 an hour, and the cost of living is at and the cost of living is beyond $30 an hour, and the richest families on the face of the earth are making $97,000 per hour. And you can do the math on that one if you so feel led. But the economic disparity is appalling, and it's growing dimensionally, or exponentially, or more of a better word. And if you're working at $30 an hour, and most of us are not, but even if you were, you still can't catch up with the person who's making $97,000 an hour. $97,000 per hour. The richest families of this country and the world. That's the kind of wealth that they earn. And so you're not trying to catch up with them, but you got to have what it takes to stay level with the ground, or to get ahead, and to provide for the future, and to leave an inheritance and a legacy, which is what the Europeans have left for their children. But the Africans who were forcefully brought over here do not have to leave for theirs. They're still losing homes, still getting put out of houses, still trying to buy that first house and I don't understand how anybody can pay $22,000 a month for a mortgage and still make it. It's arithmetically doesn't add up. But we just pray God that His will will be done, and He will bless His people. All right, I've talked enough. I haven't talked about the Shanquella Robinson case, where a bunch of so-called friends that she thought she was going down there to celebrate a birthday with, but she wound up being the person who was savagely beaten and murdered by those whom she felt were her friend. And it's not getting a lot of, well, it gets coverage, but it does not getting enough coverage. But thank God for Black Twitter and the other social media people who podcasters who got on top of the story and kept it before the world, so that the United States could not ignore the death of one of their citizens simply because she was black, and because the people that killed her were likewise black. And my heart goes out to the father, Mr. Bernard Robinson, and to the mother, Sister Salamandra Robinson, I think is her last name. I know Salamandra is her first name. And we trust that justice will be served, and that these people who left her dead body over there, and they came back with her luggage and a story that she had drank too much, and were at the mother's house selling that story until the father notified the mother, because they divorced, that it wasn't like what they were saying, and that was and that one of them had put up a video of how they beat that girl in that Cabo San Luca place there. And when that began to be noised about, and the news got back to, I think, the sister and the father before it got to the mother, because she was still in the thrall of these so-called friends of her daughters, and who were coming by to commiserate with her in her loss. And one of the commiserators was actually the one that had killed her daughter. And so people are treacherous. People are treacherous. You have to watch your friends, watch who you hang out with, watch who you calling your friend, and watch what groups you joining, because you don't know what them folks is up to. You think you going into the in crowd, and they'll be hating on you because this girl was a success, and for whatever reason, that jealousy came through. You can see it in the savagery and the brutality and the belligerent aggressiveness with which her so-called friends are beating her. And then the brothering boys, they were all grown, but they acted like boys, had the nerve to tell her, can't you fight back, defend yourself? As they are videoing her of being beat to death. So watch your friend. Watch those who call themselves want to be in your friend's circle all the time. You don't have that many friends. You have acquaintances. You may have one best friend, and God may bless you with 4 or 5 best friends. But no, everybody's not your friend, and you can't tell your business to everybody that who say they're your friend. It just doesn't work that way. And anyway, we just hope they'll get justice in this case. And the names of the people that were with her were Winter Donovan, whom they say picked her up by her neck and body slammed her, whatever that means, and that's what cracked her, broke her neck and fractured cracked her spine. So that when the neck was cracked up here, neck was broken up here, then according to the medical doctors, then the heart couldn't get the signal from the brain to keep on pumping, and the lungs couldn't get the signal to keep on clearing and breathing, and so that brought on death within 15 minutes, according to the medical personnel, because the autopsy report showed that she died 15 minutes after that blow. So all that rest of that they were telling their mother about alcohol poisoning was a lie. And when the autopsy report was given to that mother, those other people stopped coming by. And they haven't been able to get in touch with those people since. And I'm gonna call their name: Winter Donovan, Dejanay Jackson, Elise Hyatt, Khalil Cook, Malik Dyer, and Nazia Wiggins. These were all supposed to be her best friends. I think Khalil Cook was supposed to be her best friend. And he's the one whose voice you can hear on the video asking her, why can't you fight back? And Deshaun Jackson was the one that was beating her to death. And then Winter Donovan followed up by body slamming her. So may the family get justice, and may they all get justice. All right, I may have to ask for some more time here going forward because I'm slow. I wanted to mention that in the Georgia case where Ahmaud Arbery's assailants were finally found guilty, the DA that tried to say that she didn't see no harm, no foul in Greg McMichael and Travis McMichael executing Ahmaud Arbery with a shotgun, only to be overruled by the outcry from, again, the public, the general public, and that mother, Mrs. Ahmaud Arbery's mother, constantly just staying on her knees and staying on that Georgia criminal justice system until they got it right. And again, it was a video. If they hadn't put the video up there, none of us never would have known just how savagely they executed Ahmaud Arbery. But when the video came out, just like in this Shanquilla Robinson case, they were bragging, passing this video around among themselves, and it got out. Thank God for Jesus. And so that's what started the ball to rolling, because the DA said it was self-defense, or she didn't see where there was any ground to arrest Travis McMichael or Greg McMichael. But when the case finally went to court, they were not only arrested, they were convicted of hate crimes and murder, not only in the state of Georgia, but also by the federal government. So this DA, this DA, Jackie Johnson, is going to be arraigned finally this month on the 14th. And if that sounds strange to you, it sounds strange to everybody. How you going to, 45 days is the longest for an arraignment. But here's for something that happened way back last year, and she's only going to be arraigned on her part in this month, December. But thank God that she will be arraigned, and she will have to answer for how she ignored the Ahmaud Arbery family and favored Greg McMichael because he had been one of her investigators. This thing gets deeper, You may do wrong, but you're not going to always get by. All right, let me read my other vital scripture in Ephesians, which says that put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. Stand therefore, have your loins girded about with truth. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but with principalities, with powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Because that is what you are battling against, spiritual wickedness in high places. It's not a Donald Trump, that's flesh and blood. That may be what you're looking at, but you better look behind Donald Trump and see who the power is, who the principality is, because that is what we must always remember that we are fighting against. And we're never fighting against the physical person. We're fighting against the power, the reason, the unseen rulers of the darkness of this world. All right? All right. So as I wrap up here, I wanted to talk about Joe Biden signing away the rights of the railroad workers to strike. That's what you call a dialectic. He started out as a union man, but here he is going against the union. My, politics makes strange bedfellows. Now, as I said, we need unions because unions are your only bargaining chip that you have now, because this system will railroad you or roll over you if you're out there by yourself. And if you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, you know what I think you need to do? Don't work for them. We out of here, Doc. Love you.